Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Drawin and Jawin. And if you can't tell by immediately looking down on what you are seeing here, we are once again thinking about Frank Miller, dealing with Frank Miller. We love Frank Miller. Mad respect to Frank Miller. Basically, we're going to be working on an Inktober prompt today. This one is kind of a mashup between two. I'm kind of working off of two lists this year. Mostly I'm going through the Mobius inspired one over on the Mobius Productions Instagram page. I'll show those off a little bit if you guys are interested, but this one is Dream. I've just been ripping them with the old Pilot Prayer fountain pen here, no underdrawing. And then we got Traveler. I used some lyrics from a local band's song, Flower Shopping, Time Traveler. They're very good. Good song. This one was Spirit, and then switched to a landscape style here for Desert. And it's saying here, I don't know if you can tell, is where's the beach? You know, treading calf deep water. Gold Mage. Gold transformed to confidence, confidence transformed to debt, then debt transformed to profit, and then he's like sitting at the, or standing at the New York Stock Exchange thing about to ring in the bell. And then this one I had quite a few failed attempts or, you know, just figuring it out, but it was the first weird one. Scootmuth quintupede. And to me, Scootmuth sounded like a mouth scooting on the ground. And then quintupede, so you got 5, and then I was thinking of a centipede or whatever, so why not a centipede with 5 appendages, and it's a mouth at the center. So we got a little weird with that one. This one was fun, Infinity, and basically kind of hard to see, but let's see if we can zoom in here a tad bit. We are sitting on the toilet looking at our phone, staring into infinity, while the pipes just go on into infinity. That was a fun one, and I tried to make all the perspective or all the lines either parallel or they were going towards the focal point there. So that one's infinity. And then we got, let's see, working on a commission there, which if you need a portrait commission, you know, I always work stuff like this out in the sketchbook before putting it on the paper. And then this is where we got to the other prompt here. Well, I guess I started with the other prompt list here with Ed Piskor here. But Godzilla from the K-Fam Sunday K-Fabtober prompt, carrying the torch there. I'm just kind of picking and choosing what I like, but primarily doing Mobius. So this one was one that I was working out quite a bit. Couldn't get it right. But it was Pterodelph, and I used a picture of a roseate spoonbill, a bird native to Florida, you know, landing or whatever, and then like I'm in its loom there. Again, just like breaking these weird words down to suffix and prefix, and then looking up what those things mean. This was a fun one. Draw me a star. So I very much wanted to do a Mobius style, you know, geometric kind of shape, and then I wanted each point to be radiating lights, and where that was radiating, that's where all the lines intersect to make black. And then I drew myself drawing the star, and I'm pondering, does the darkness define the star, or does the star occupy the darkness? Not really profound, more an observation of just how I was drawing it, you know? The star seems to really take form once you start to fill in the background with black. And it's, you know, it's just an element of drawing, you know, contrast and, what is that, chiaroscuro? Is that the word? Hopefully that's the right word. But the, you know, high contrast, you know, light defining dark, and then there's, you know, spectrum with shadow and shading and stuff like that. And then here's another one I was working out. Oh yeah, this is from the other list. Usagi Yojimbo from the K-Fabtober list. Did this in fountain pen, and then did the blacks in the Pentel brush pen here. And then this is back to the Mobius one. Martian Fauna. Kind of a weird looking guy. I was thinking basically Mars is like a desert. It's dusty, it's dry. low gravity or lower than Earth. So I was like, well, maybe it'll be like a camel with like long, skinny legs, very top heavy. So dusty, so maybe it doesn't have a mouth or a nose. Instead, it has these cilia to filter out Martian dust and absorb moisture. And I guess oxygen, I should have added that note too. And then it's got these little antennae, bio antennae that absorb moisture. And I was just thinking, it's a desert. You're going to want moisture, and camels store it, so I was going off of that. And they're also hypersensitive, and it broadcasts and receives consciousness. Ooh, getting a little spooky there. And it also alerts it of danger precognitively. So if it's at rest, it's like, nothing can really sneak up on it. It's got like a spidey sense. And then it's got these plated scales to protect the bioantennae when it's at, and that open up, when it's at rest to release the bioantennae. And that's about as far as I got. Today we're going to be, we're doing another twofer actually. So this is from the Inktober prompt list. The prompt is The Dark Knight Returns. So I redrew this little scene. Oh, I got it earmarked somewhere in here. Coming up. Yes, right here. So I redrew that scene with the fountain pen. Add a lot more drips for the mud. A little bit of red for the eyes there. And then I took the dialogue that happens a couple panels from, here. You don't get it, boy. This isn't a mud hole. It's an operating table. Yeah, I did this one last night, and it's for sale if you want. $100, And as always, with any artwork, you get Gut and Ghost. You get After Frank Miller. You get Facebook. You get the Dark Knight Returns. You get your Barf Mameson sticker. You get your Draw Every Day sticker, and you also get, appropriately, your Batboy sticker. That's you when you receive your Batman drawing. You're happy as a clam. You're happy as Batboy. You could be this happy. Hit the link in the description there if you would like to own this drawing. It would look wonderful in your child's nursery, or in your guest bathroom, or your foyer. How do you say that? I don't know. It's yours. You say it however you like, brother or sister, or them. I don't know, but it's yours. You can hang it wherever you like. $100, and I'll mail it right to you. But today we're going to go back to what we're going to be redrawing another panel, but we're mashing up yet again. So the Mobius prompt today is alter ego. And this is a part in the comic where Batman has dressed up as this bag lady here and is hanging out in this liquor store, and he's about to thwart this robbery by this very odd character, Bruno. This book is filled with odd characters. So yeah, we're going to work on that today. So I figured alter ego. This is an alter ego for Batman's alter ego, which is an alter ego for Bruce Wayne. So I don't know. But it's another excuse to double down on drawing The Dark Knight Returns. Again, we love Frank Miller over here on Drawn and Drawn. And now we're going to get to work. Let's try to rip this with the fountain pen, and maybe if we need to, we'll use the brush pen where appropriate. I've already had my coffee this morning. That was nice. We got an e-learning day for the older one today, so if I get a little interrupted, don't mind that. She's working on some homework in her room at her desk very diligently. Took her for a walk in the woods this morning, which was really nice. I haven't been out in the woods since before the Hurricane Helene, which I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. We didn't get it too bad. Everybody lost power. And I think only like maybe just last week, it's like kind of 100% good. I'll be honest, selfishly, I haven't kept too much track of it since we got power back. That isn't to say I don't care. I do. It's no fun. But we were mostly prepared. We didn't have any damage to the house. We just got lucky, man. If I keep pulling L's, I just hope they're luck. Not the losses, but I guess you can't avoid those forever. But yeah, we just lost power. Had a generator from when we lived in Tallahassee, and I think it was Hurricane Matthew that came through. And we were living in a little duplex. We didn't have kids or anything at the time, so it really didn't matter terribly, how much, how long we went without power. But I think we were without power for like a week, and it was very, very hot, very, very humid. I was working as a house painter at the time, lots of outdoor jobs, so like, you go out to work and you sweat all day, and then you come home and you sweat. But I will say this, it was really nice taking cold showers during that time. And I got a little bit back into that when we lost power here. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm a little sweaty. I'm gonna take me a cold shower, and it was pretty refreshing. But yeah, we went out for a walk in the woods this morning. That forest talk video I put up did pretty well, so maybe we'll talk more about the forest today. Yeah, it was really nice. I didn't notice too many trees down there, but it's possible they could have already cleaned that all up. It's been long enough. But the trails were noticeably still pretty damp. Probably had some mud flowing through them, it looked like. I don't know. I'm not like I can't look at stuff and tell you exactly what happened. I'm no good at that, but definitely looked like it had rained. Nice cool morning too. I actually had to wear break out the track pants and the track jacket. Nice light jacket for the morning. And yeah, we went for a little walk after breakfast to start the day before we start our e-learning and our drawing and all of our stuff. And yeah, it had us a nice little walk and a nice little talk. She's working on her science homework now. I saw that she was learning about what is light. I was like, oh yeah, I think about that a lot too. What is light? I guess it goes back to that drawing of the star that I did. Maybe I'll ask her opinion of that when she's done learning. I'm like, well, what do you think about this? Drop a bomb on her, be like, oh, but I'm talking philosophically. Nah, you don't want to confuse a 6-year-old. Yes, Nora? 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry for the cut there. Little homework help. But where were we? What were we talking about? So we went for a walk in the woods. She was learning about science. We're all done with homework now, so we're hours later. So I guess I'd say welcome back, but it's not going to seem like anything happened to you because I'm just going to cut and paste. But yeah, carrying on. Yeah, what else is going on? We got the state fair in town this weekend. Probably go check that out. It's always fun for people watching, and they usually got they have a local art exhibit, so I'll definitely go check that out and see if I see any names I recognize, any friends or people I only know on Instagram and haven't met yet in real life. We'll see. We'll go check it out. See, we want to stay a little bit loose with this, but not too loose. This This is like such an odd part of the story. He's like dressed up as this bag lady, and he's like anticipating the store to be robbed because I think this Bruno character works for Joker or something. I don't know, but it's like there's also like all this Nazi imagery and stuff. I don't understand, but I don't know, man. Frank Miller makes odd choices, but they always seem to work in some deranged kind of way. You know, I kind of like that blank. That'd be pretty cool to keep that blank after a certain point. We can always add lines later if we want. So let's just keep it blank for now and move on. See, after I'm done with the drawing here, got the big kid. She's watching some Powerpuff Girls as a reward for finishing all of her work. You know, you don't want to rely too much on screen time here, and it's getting to a point where even I'm like starting to like catch myself on my phone, like how frequently do I put this thing down and then like almost immediately pick it back up. I ordered a here's something we can talk about. We'll talk about screen times and phone just for a little bit. I mean, it's not gonna have any novel takes, but I did order something recently that's relevant to this. I follow an artist on Instagram, August Lamb. She's really, I like her drawings a lot, but she's also a very accomplished painter, and I guess she's a singer-songwriter. I haven't listened to any of her music, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's good. That's not what I'm trying to say. We're getting off on a tangent here. But she put out a pamphlet. Her drawings are very good, and she also has a book, a very informative book about cross-hatching, that if you are interested in drawing and shading with a pen, is definitely worth picking up. It has very great step-by-step examples and instructions, and it's very informative. Even if you're an experienced pen and ink artist, it's a great book to have on the shelf. But she put out a pamphlet. She's been on this whole not anti-phone thing. I make it sound like she's militant about it, but you know, she's put out a pamphlet about alternatives to using your phone and how you can kind of potentially rid yourself of it. You don't need it. I think the pamphlet's called You Don't Need a Smartphone. It's $20, so it's a little pricey, but it's number one, I enjoy her art, but it's a subject I've been thinking about lately, and it's I have kids, so that's one of the reasons why I think about it. The doctors, you talk to your pediatricians and stuff, and they're like, yeah, you want to limit that as much as possible, especially when they're really young. And we're in a position now where it's like we have an older one, not too old, but old enough to where she's got her favorite shows and stuff like that. I mean, you can't avoid it. But we also have a younger one who's just turning 2. And that's when it's really critical how much screen time, I guess can affect them or whatever. So it's hard trying to strike that balance between the two, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I feel like I'm always setting a bad example, which might be where my self-consciousness is coming from, by having my phone on me at all time, and I'll say, all right, no more TV, and then immediately go and look down at my phone as if nobody notices that, So I think it's a problem that is worth being examined, and it just so happens that an artist that I like has been thinking about that as well, and actually has done some experimentation with going smartphone-less, and is sharing her thoughts on that, and I think they are worth listening to. So I'm going to check it out. It's worth the $20 to me, plus $5 shipping and handling. So I don't know. When I get it all up, maybe I'll explored on here a little bit. But I'll definitely put a link to her stuff in the description. I'm gonna link to the where you can get the book or the pamphlet. She calls it a pamphlet, so I don't know exactly how thick it is, but the table of contents make it seem like it might, have a pretty significant amount of information in it. And I would hope for $20 maybe, but I didn't buy it for monetary value. I did buy it for the information and for her insight into this thing. So format aside, again, it was just one of those things I kind of felt like I had to pull the trigger on. It made sense in a very follow the what do you call it, synchronicity sort of way. So yeah, but yeah, that's I guess one of the big problems of modern times is trying, if you're really trying, to find that balance. It's difficult because TVs and screens are everywhere, and everything increasingly is involving a TV or a screen. So I don't know, we might be at the precipice to where it's like, if you can break off, maybe if a significant amount of people decide, nah, this isn't for us, I don't know, maybe it won't be forced down our throats, but I don't know, or maybe it's a foregone conclusion and it doesn't matter. Infrastructure's in place, but we're not going to talk about that, because that gets to pretty grim territory, and that's not what we're doing. Keep the grim stuff on the page, That's why we're drawing Batman dressed up as a homeless woman hanging out in a liquor store screaming about, this is my favorite bit, thief, you're a thief, 7-Eleven sells this for $2.50. I just like 7-Eleven. Every time I see a 7-Eleven now, I read this back in high school, but ever since I read this for the first time, every time I see a 7-Eleven, I always call it, like in my head, I'm like 7-Eleven. It's 7-Eleven. But yeah. And as you can see, no underdrawing. We're just ripping this with the fountain pen. We're going nice and slow, just only relying on the lines we've put down, skipping to different parts of the drawing where we feel necessary, just to kind of, because it's not always about what's right next to it. I've always say this in a ton of videos. I should probably one day find a super cut or make a super cut of that, but then I'd have to rewatch all the videos. Hey Nora, what's up? I'm drawing. See, I'm drawing this picture here. Mm-hmm. It's Batman. He's dressed up as this like homeless lady.
Why were you talking?
So I'm videotaping myself. Oh. Yeah, some people, not a lot of people, but some people like to watch me draw. And I don't know if they like to listen to what I say, but you're gonna. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah.
You need anything?
No, I was just seeing what you're doing.
Okay, just seeing if I gone crazy or if I was talking for any reason in particular?
Yeah.
Okay. What you watching in there? Ooh, yeah. Not Teen Titans?
No.
You can't go wrong with Powerpuff Girls. Anyway, that was my older one. This is where it's going to look strange for a little bit until we get the rest of this filled in, because it's at a odd angle where it's coming at us. It's fingers. It's a hand. So they tend to look a little strange until there's stuff around it that kind of informs the rest of it. This comes down like that. Oh no, let's see. There you go. That looks okay. That looks pretty good. Stylized enough, but you can tell it's a hand. You know? It's always fun when you get to stuff like that when you're looking at somebody else's work. Because, like, especially Frank Miller, I think he's, like, probably has, like, a library of, like, life drawing poses that he comes back to. Because he definitely, like, has a, you know, especially, I don't know, he just kind of comes back to, like, really similar, like, poses. And sometimes the exact same poses. But he does them so well. But these like a little abbreviations that like everybody kind of does, like, you know, this is like trying to look at somebody's gesture drawing and recreate it, which isn't like something you could really do because it like, you know, these types of drawings, like they happen very much in the moment, which is like one of the things that feels so risky about Frank Miller's work. I don't care for some of his like more let's splatter gesso all over everything kind of stuff, but like when there's like this controlled chaos here, especially when he's being inked by Klaus Janson, like this is top tier Frank Miller, this book, I think. And to me there's a lot of like, you could see a lot of like where his art style eventually goes. Because there's a lot of that abstraction. Ronin has a lot of that too. Ronin might even be a better example actually of what I'm talking about, where there's a lot of that really blocky abstraction, but it's still very much like in this era of Miller where he's like, I don't know, I guess still kind of tethered to some sort of reality. Whereas if you start getting towards like Sin City gets a little crazy, but you know, there's still something you can kind of grasp onto. And then when you read, especially the sequel to The Dark Knight Returns, The Dark Knight Strikes Again, which is pretty divisive. A lot of people hate that book. It took me a while, but I've come around to it. And one of the things that I think cemented it one day for me too is like, well, like I always kept coming back to rereading it because an amount of time would go by and I'd be like, you know, I'd read The Dark Knight Returns. So I read this book at least once a year. And then, you know, I'd be like, oh, man, it's been a minute since I read that sequel. I remember not liking it, but I don't remember, you know, obviously the color in the book is like atrocious. People always point to that, and I would agree with that. The digital color is not some of Lynn Varley's best work, dare I say. Especially compared to, you know, you're talking about a sequel to The Dark Knight Returns, like, ugh. I mean, I wouldn't say, like, do what you've done before, but I don't know. I guess you can't really be too faulty because that was, like, the new fandangled thing at the time. Lynn Varley's a pretty legendary colorist. And I think there was probably, if you looked at a lot of books of that era, I'm not 100% certain, but I would imagine there's probably a lot of really bad digital coloring faux pas being made because that was kind of a new thing at the time, you know. Oh, you know what, I kind of messed that up, but we can fix this. That could just be a wrinkle that we have here. Oh. Yeah, it'll work. It's never about doing a one-to-one thing. Like, again, it'd be like trying to redraw somebody's gesture drawing. Like, you're not going to get every dip and dive of a line, recreate all the thicknesses. You just want to get the vibe. And then I think just diving in immediately with the fountain pen kind of forces you to not try anything too hard. You're just looking at something and reacting to it. So you're getting your most honest kind of work, I guess, out of looking at it. But that's just me. I just really seem to vibe with the fountain pen. I love it every time. All right. Ooh, these feet are going to be gnarly. So it's all about, so a lot of what Frank Miller's drawings, if you look at them, they are pretty crude looking or crazy looking or gnarly. But one of the things he always captures is this movement and this weight. So like this going this way and this leg coming up creates this kind of triangle shape. And it's like from which the hand, you know, you got the batarang exploding out of. I don't know. It follows that motion. He does very well with stuff like that. Like, he's a real master, which is why, again, like, I think he's probably one of these guys that's like gesture drawing a lot or doing a lot of life drawing, because that's where that comes from. Being able to just either pull that from your mind because you've done it enough, or you've drawn, you know, you've either drawn people enough, or you've had, I guess I would imagine at Frank Miller's level, he could probably even like just hire models to come in the studio, get the poses he needs, probably do it on the publisher's dime, you know. And that's an incredible resource right there. But not everybody can do that. If you can take a life drawing class, definitely you should. That's where you learn how to draw after you do all your foundational stuff. Like, really learn how to, like, the act of drawing, where it comes from psychologically, biologically. It's all in life drawing. And that will prepare you for drawing anything. But what's up, big kid?
Kitty wants to see your drawing.
Oh, hi, kitty.
She thinks it's good.
Oh, thanks, kitty.
Oh.
When I'm all done, we'll go, you want to go to the park? Okay. All right. Maybe I won't finish this all the way then. We'll finish it most of the way, but you get a good idea of what's going on here. I don't want to speed it up too much because I don't want to, you know, obviously you want to work a little bit fast, but you don't want to work too sloppy. You don't want to get too sloppy. It's maintaining that balance, chaos and control. You want to be fast enough that you're reacting and not thinking, because you don't want to give yourself the chance to overthink. But you don't want to go so fast that you're just not looking anymore and you're just making lines and you're doing pre-crime. You think you're Minority Report. You know, you think you're Tom Cruise with the computers over here, but really you're just making a mess. And hey, man, you know, not you. I say you, but I don't mean you, the viewer. I appreciate you. Whenever I say you and I'm talking about stuff like this, I mean me, because these are things that I've done so many times. But, you know, you got to make those mistakes. You got to mess up a ton of drawings. Everybody's been there, man. That's what sketchbooks are for. You don't got to show everybody everything. You just show them the good stuff. They don't know that the amount it took to get there until they see your price point. and that's where it's like, oh, really? That much for that? Well, yeah. Number one, took me a long time to build this skill. Number two, there's actually a lot more involved in this than you would think. You know, which is why I love to record these, because now it's like, I don't know, it's like kind of an added bonus. Be like, hey, I own this drawing. You want to see it get drawn? So yeah, now we can like make this foot look all gross and like, but that's where a lot of Frank Miller's abstraction too comes from. Like, you know, it's clearly just he's observing, reacting, and it's this gestural drawing, and it's drawing as much information as you possibly can with as little work or strokes as possible, you know, even though some of his mark making can look a little busy at times. What did I do here? Oh, this has got to come down more. We can hide that, that's fine. Like, you know, that shape of the foot is very much something you would do, and just looking at a model real quick, and it's like, okay, you have 20 minutes to draw this entire figure. You're not going to get every detail. That's not going to happen, you know? So what do? Oh, that's gesture drawing for you, baby. Stuff like this, like, you just don't gotta sweat it. You just, again, you're just looking at the motion and the direction, and as long, like, this is so much like his samurai stuff that he would draw, except he put a homeless woman, like, this is what I love about this book, you know? It's just so absurd. It's like all the cool stuff of Frank Miller, plus like all the weird, absurd stuff from like him, like post Sin City. I've been, you know, and especially speaking of post Sin City, I got a copy of his controversial book Holy Terror recently. I bought it on eBay. Every now and again I would check, and you know, I wasn't gonna pay like $30 for it. It just didn't seem like there's enough there, and it's a lesser work. It's not really well reviewed, even, you know, usually even if it's controversial, like I've not seen like somebody speak well of it, you know. And I never got to read it, so I was like, well, looked up on eBay, and it was like found a copy for $14, so I ordered it for myself, and I'm about halfway through it right now, and it's not very good, but one of the things I am enjoying about it is, like, number one, it's an interesting look back at that time period for whatever it was. I was in middle school and high school, kind of like in the cultural climate of what that book is taking place in, which, you know, Frank Miller obviously ramps it up to like the most extreme, ridiculous thing possible. And then, of course, you know, that's how you get the racist allegation. It's understandable. It is a very hateful kind of thing, but, you know, from his perspective, like, I guess he was in Hell's Kitchen when the you know, the towers went down and stuff like that, and he's a lifelong New Yorker and stuff. So, you know, I'm not making excuses for the man, But if you're going to express those types of sentiments, I mean, that's what his, you know, he does. That's his work. You know, that's his comics. His comics have always been like that extreme thing. And then he, you know, put this, it might have been best to remain unpublished, especially like originally he wanted it to be a Batman book from what I understand, and was told no, like absolutely not. That ain't going to happen. So, which is very funny, like when reading it now, because you can very obviously see like, oh, I'm pretty sure that is true. Like this is very clearly Batman without the ears, which from that standpoint, I am loving it, because, you know, I mentioned The Dark Knight Strikes Again earlier, and one of the drawbacks of that book is the color. And looking at Holy Terror, it kind of feels like it could be, you know, especially since like the DNA of it is it's supposed to be a Batman book. It feels like, oh, what if you did The Dark Knight Strikes Again without color, but then with all this like weird kind of post 9/11 xenophobia over top of it, which as a cultural artifact, again, it's interesting to look back on now, especially again, I was a child during a lot of this era, so I only remember it as such, you know, not child, but like, you know, middle school, teenager, formative years though. I mean, that was my adolescence, you know. Towers went down when I was 12, I think. 13 maybe. So, you know, it was a strange time. Strange time in the country, strange time in your life. You're going through lots of changes. Start to notice the girls. You start to notice that jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. I'm just kidding. We're not getting into that. But, because that's not what I'm here to talk about. It's not relevant. But, yeah, from that standpoint, the artwork standpoint, like, it is, like, looking at how he draws Batman in The Dark Knight Strikes Again, but minus any of the garish color. And I kind of appreciate that because I love his visual language in that like black and white format where it's like Sin City, you know, very flat, but like, you know, some stuff is rendered. Very stylized, halfway cartoon, like he's like halfway cartooning and halfway like, again, like life drawing, gesture drawing. It like very much comes from that. But that point in his career, it's like so far off the rails. Oh yeah, I forgot I was going to put the dialogue here. So let's get that dialogue. So, let's see. There's a thief. You're a thief. 7-Eleven sells this for $2.50. I'm going to try to quickly letter this, but not too quickly. Make sure I am recording. Oh yeah, we're doing good. That'd be so funny if I made it all this far and I was like, oh yeah, I actually forgot to hit the record button. Thief. And then we'll put, you're a thief. thief. You're a thief. 7-Eleven. That's my favorite thing, man. 7-Eleven. Oh, maybe I should have made him say thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Oh, well, too late. We'll clean that up. It'll be all right. Might have to throw a little bit of white out on there. Or do I leave it? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we'll throw some white out on there, actually. Cool. We'll leave it there for now. I think that looks pretty good. We'll probably go in with our brush pen, clean some of that stuff up, but I'm going to have this for sale. If you want to see what it looks like, the final version, follow me on Instagram, @scoon.art. In the description, direct link. I'll post it on there. It'll be probably by the end of today, because it is due today. It's a mashup. Inktober, Mobtober, Kayfabetober coming together to create magic, especially when the Dark Knight Returns is involved. But yeah, I'll have this for sale. You can DM me on Instagram if you're interested. If not, I'm gonna try to have it up in my shop same day. All right, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Laters.